recorded, and some of the elements of what you're seeing dynamically move around and things get repositioned like as you progress through. But this is the view of Samantha, the demo user, in week 6. This is Michelle, the health coach. She's an actual person. She lives in the Bay Area. This is a Bay Area group. So you can actually start to see if this will work. My internet's really slow. When you click on any of these individual faces or profiles, you can see a little bio that you can write yourself. It actually also summarizes your activity in the program. So posts that Samantha's made to the message board, it kind of summarizes everything, what you've done. And you can have a good sense for what your engagement's been, and you don't have to scroll through weeks and weeks of content. So what you're seeing here is the group that Samantha's been matched to. They're all in the Bay Area, so if I were to click into each of these, you'd see, I think they're in Oakland, they're in San Francisco. It's a Bay Area group, so we match all of the group members based on where they live, and that really helps. So this guy's in San Francisco. It really helps because the time zone, the weather, the cultural nuances. The Warriors in the playoffs, that's probably a thread versus the Celtics. So it makes it a lot more personalized because the coach is also in the same geography. This is not a call center where if I have a question, I get a random person. Michelle is assigned to this group from day one. When the group kicks off, they've received their scale, they've gotten access to their account, and they know who their coach is. So if I clicked on all this, you can play an intro video that's been recorded. You could even send a message right to Michelle. You can talk to her on the phone too. What we often find are people either I need to talk to the coach regularly because if I don't talk about what I'm learning, I can't really process it. And others you know what, I'm not a phone person. I'm actually more of I'd rather kind of observe what my group is doing, but I'm not a big social media person. I'd rather just kind of go through the lessons and do my thing. What you'll see as I show you this is you can do what works for you, yet it has the structure around the 4 components I talked about and the content that we know, and the right combination based on how you learn and what your needs are can get to the outcomes we're looking for, which is sustainable weight loss over time. Ultimately tied to risk reduction.
Do you know how many coaches you guys have?
Just writing that down.
Yeah, we're probably somewhere in the high hundreds now. Something like that. Yeah, but we have over 100,000 participants. So it's at all different phases of their participation, and so much of the scale we get is through data.
Gotcha.
Making sure that we have used data science and pattern recognition and machine learning in all different ways that. It isn't just about the coach having to look through everybody's comments and everyone's weight. It's almost like population health in a way where they can see who's kind of at risk, so to speak.
Are they part-time or full-time? Full-time.
Yeah, we've tried seasonal and part-time. I want to say everyone now is full-time employee of Amada.
And they're
remote,
virtual. And who manages them? Is there someone, obviously?
So there are health coach managers that they roll up to, and then there's they're actually led by our COO, kind of oversees because they're the heaviest burden from an operational standpoint. And then our medical team, so our CMO is ultimately responsible for any escalations, but we have a home med affairs team. We have researchers as well as a medical director who, and so one of our PhDs actually oversees the health coaches on a weekly basis, is meeting with them, getting feedback, going through best practices, refreshing training, and then of course if anything comes up in the off day, they're getting escalated as appropriate through the team. Yeah. Wow. So the group is matched to their coach, and then what you're seeing here is our group discussion board. So this is where the group can interact with each other. Everyone can see what anyone is posting. Michelle, the coach, will jump in. The idea is not that the coach is doing everything, starting every conversation, only commenting, the only one who comments. Really, it's their job to make sure that everything feels relatively appropriate, questions are getting answered. And what you're seeing here, responses to lesson 6 shared discussion questions. So in the lessons, there are kind of open-ended or certain thought-provoking questions where people know whatever I put in here gets posted to my group board. So there's some level of that accountability mixed in, and a little bit of kind of friendly competition almost. One thing I didn't mention back up at the top, these green bars that are going around everyone's profile picture is actually a visual cue for the percentage progress toward the weight loss goal.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So you will not see each other's actual weight or
Yeah,
pounds
right.
lost or anything like that. You can see together you've lost this, 272 pounds. And what we hear a lot of is, so Samantha would say, oh, it looks like, Lillian and I are actually like doing pretty similarly. But George is somehow like, he's further along. We're all in the same point in time in the program. Or Rita would maybe reach out to Samantha and say, I'm struggling, like, what are you doing and what am I missing?
Yeah.
So we see some of those kind of, it's usually in the group setting, but saying like, hey, like any extra tips, or they'll watch more closely what is Samantha saying.
Yeah. Is
So
there so I'm assuming there's private messaging between.
there is. I'll show you that right now.
Yeah.
So if you wanted a private message, and that's what this is, it's more like a traditional email type of
Gotcha.
dynamic, but it's within the platform. So
What about between the participants? No,
we
right?
don't have
Yeah.
that, and some of that is, and you can imagine, especially as it's gotten bigger, there are some weird things that can
Yeah,
start to
no,
happen.
I don't think that's the way to go.